Greetings and salutations will be to Dr. Azani Mujahid. Today, our group will be presenting on our ICT project entitled The Usage of Digital Learning. What leads us to the idea of digital learning? We think of how to reduce wastage, such as papers, time, and resources in learning. Therefore, we believe that students should utilize digital learning since our faculty is implementing zero waste policy, which makes digital learning as a good implementation to reduce wastage. Examinations, assignment submissions, lecture notes can be done online instead of using the traditional ways in conducting all those.
What is digital learning? Digital learning is any instructional practice that effectively uses technology to strengthen a student's learning experience. It requires a combination of technology, digital content, and instruction. It also encompasses many different facets, tools, applications to support and empower teacher and students, including online courses, blended or hybrid learning, or digital content and resources. Next, what is the example of digital learning? One of the learning management platforms that used by UNIMAS is Elite. Elite enables lecturers to upload their assignment and lecture note on Elite for students, and students can also download easily in PPT or PowerPoint form or PDF form. Next, Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is a communication and collaboration platform that enables lecturers to organize an online meeting or class. Lastly, Google Scholar. Google Scholar is an application that we can find in Google Search. It helps students to find relevant words across the world of scholarly research.
Now, let's look at the pros of digital learning. Digital learning develops accountability in students with real-time analysis of performance and auto-generate reports. Digital learning makes the assessment of each student much more transparent and informative. It gives the student the ability to measure their performance in details and come up with appropriate solutions on their part. Secondly, digital learning is more engaging than traditional learning methods. The traditional way of learning gives us little scope for engagement as the dynamic of a conventional classroom constitutes of student, textbook, and one instructor for learning. On the contrary, digital mode of learning gives a wider range of choice to the student to learn from. The unlimited availability of image and video content, interactive session, virtual reality, and so on makes the learning process more interesting and playful. Next, digital learning increasing student employability with digital learning tools and technology. It equipping students with the requirement of higher education and holding a career at a young age has become one of the most crucial responsibilities of school education. Digital learning solution based on problem-based learning emphasize on learning methods that are constructive, collaborative, and call the students' attention to a real-world approach to learning.
Next, digital learning also is the method of sharing. This is because research and sharing information takes only a few seconds to be shared to their lecturers or maybe from the lecturers to their students. Example, Google Docs and other cloud-based learning tools can be used to their lecturers or students on group projects, which physically has made discussion became easier. Moving on, digital learning also reduces wastage. This reduces negative environmental impacts that come from manufacturing and transportation. This is because materials needed for traditional education institutions are dramatically reduced, such as paper and ink. This reduces the waste and conserves natural resources.
However, despite all those advantages of digital learning, there are some major drawbacks to this method of learning. Firstly, digital learning leads to lack of face-to-face interaction. A lack of any face-to-face interaction with the teachers or lecturers prevents student feedbacks, causes social isolation. When this happens, students will not feel pressured, and lack of pressure is a disadvantage as students will easily abandon their studies. Plus, there might be miscommunication occurs as messages that one wants to convey may not reach to the students or lecturers well. Next, digital learning requires one to have high level of self-discipline. If normal classes are to be conducted, it encourages face-to-face interaction, peer-to-peer activities can be conducted easily, which keep the students from falling off track during their studies. However, when digital learning is conducted, there are less driving factors to push students to perform well in their studies, which leads to lack of motivation as students are left alone during their learning activities. No one is there to push them towards their learning goals. Plus, digital learning puts students' time management into a test since students are not exerted with any pressure to finish up assignments given. Thus, keeping up with the deadlines can be difficult for students who lack of time management skills.
The third disadvantage of digital learning is limited feedback. As on a digital platform, students are not made compulsory to turn on webcams and microphones. Hence, it is difficult for students to provide feedback to the lecturers as they are not as interactive in compared to a face-to-face meeting. In addition, students struggling with the assessment will not be able to get constant feedback from their instructors. This may cause students to be dissatisfied when they lack personal feedback from the instructors. While some online instructors do give students feedback, they still might not have enough time to work with them properly, explaining every detail. This could lead to some students falling behind, having gaps in their knowledge, and not completing the course successfully enough. The fourth disadvantage is instructors focus more on theory rather than practical. Digital learning is strictly limited to visual only. It is hard to apply any hands-on activities. Undeniably, the majority of e-learning focus on developing theoretical knowledge rather than practical skills. This is because theory is much easier to implement online in compared to practical lectures. Hence, some courses that require practical work are unable to carry out. For example, medical and science students who have to get hands-on experience will face difficulty in the future as they do not have the practical experience on the subject. Lastly, students' communication skills development will be disrupted. E-learning methods are proven to be highly effective at improving the academic knowledge of the students. However, developing the communicational skills of the students is an area often neglected during online lessons. Due to the lack of face-to-face communication between peers, students, and teachers in an online setting, the students might find that they are unable to work effectively in a team. Neglecting the communication skills of the students will inevitably lead to many graduates who excel in theoretical knowledge but fail to pass their knowledge on to others.
Lastly, we can conclude that digital learning has its pros and cons. However, we must adapt to changes and accept the fact that digital learning is the future and must be implemented for the advancement of our country. We hope that digital learning will be received with open hands from the society, educators, and last but not least, the students. This is to ensure that our country will be able to produce first-class mindset citizens equipped with digital literacy in the near future. That's all from us. Thank you.